Next, we have Dan Silva. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Dan Silva. I'm one of the 3 MCC PTA Magruder Cluster Coordinators. I'm here tonight on behalf of an underrepresented community woefully neglected by MCPS. If you're somehow not familiar with the history of broken CIP promises and important conditions at Magruder, you certainly will be by the end of tomorrow's hearings. But instead, I want to focus on the current situation according to MCPS's own published data, the bedrock of which is the FCI. Magruder's score of nearly 0.65 distinguishes it as the most depleted high school in the entire MCPS system. When those scores are weighted with other objective factors like utilization and enhanced student needs, the prioritized ranking of schools in need of a capital solution puts Damascus 6th, Magruder 7th, and Wootton 8th. You're surely aware of the public outcry from these 3 communities, all fighting for the same resources. But I implore the council today to take a more holistic, forward-thinking, and equitable approach by instead looking at these 3 separate projects as a single problem. And here's why that makes sense. When you look at MCPS's list of the top 52 CIP priorities, there isn't a single other high school project. That means if you can successfully navigate these 3 overdue, similarly situated high school projects at the top, you have a ton of runway to work through much smaller middle school and elementary school projects while also working out sustainable holding school solutions before the next batch of high schools come up for replacement. Until last week, much of the conversation had revolved around how to best utilize Crown. Dr. Taylor and the BOE vehemently defended their rights to use it as a holding school, so we know that it's possible. The timelines presented had it being utilized first by Damascus, then Magruder, then Wootton, corresponding with their objective prioritization. With Magruder being completed right on the heels of Damascus, and if MCPS still wants to relocate Wootton to Crown, that means Wootton and Magruder would both move into their long-term homes at the same time. 3 communities equitably served within 3 years of each other, and the whole region stabilized for decades to come. MCPS would still realize the long-term cost savings of not adding a 27th high school. Instead, Dr. Taylor opted to recommend immediately relocating Wootton to Crown. So let's quickly compare the experience of these comparably situated students. Wootton students would bypass the whole process, skipping from 8th to 1st and avoiding any construction-related disruptions. Meanwhile, Magruder would be left on the vine to rot. Not only would Wootton jump ahead of us, but if and when we are eventually added back to the CIP, their old, minimally repaired building would become our holding school. For multiple years, our students would endure a longer commute to a holding school further away for a diminished high school experience. That is not equity. Rubber stamping this recommendation dooms Magruder to another decade of suffering to the Magruder community. Dr. Taylor's recommendation is seen as a politically expedient one, not an equitable decision that prioritizes the best interests of the county as a whole. I look forward to speaking with you all in greater detail in the weeks to come, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Thank you. Miss, we have Carla Jositis.
Good evening, council members. My name is Carla Jositis. I am a Cashel Elementary parent, but I'm also an MCPS math content coach. So you'll have to forgive me because I brought a lot of numbers with me tonight. I am here to advocate for a new building for Magruder High School. The data from the Maryland report card shows a clear, concerning trend. Magruder's environment is failing its students. The physical environment is the foundation of student success, but at Magruder, that foundation is cracking. On the state report card, the school quality and student success score has plummeted. In 2022, Magruder earned 21.5 out of 35 possible points. Last year, that dropped to 14.5. That isn't just a number, it's a red flag that this facility can no longer support our community's needs. We see this reflected in student engagement as well. Chronic absenteeism is rising. The percentage of students attending regularly has dropped from 70% to 62%. When a building is outdated and poorly maintained, students lose their sense of pride and connection. As a result, Magruder's statewide rank has fallen from the 64th percentile to the 41st. In just 3 years, we've gone from the top half of schools to the bottom half. The people inside the building feel it too. On a 10-point scale, student satisfaction has stalled at a dismal 4.1. Educators, my colleagues, rate their environment at a 5 out of 10. Magruder has been stuck at a mediocre 3-star rating for 3 years. We are losing ground, and as a parent of 2 future Magruder students, that reality scares me. A modern Magruder would foster excellence and protect the mental and physical health of our kids. My request is simple. Either put Magruder back in the capital improvements program immediately following Damascus, or if that is impossible this cycle, commit the funding today for critical repairs. And if you fund these repairs, please do not use them as an excuse to push Magruder to the back of the line. We should not be punished with another decade of waiting just because we asked for a safe environment today. Council members, the numbers tell us that Magruder is trending towards a crisis. I have to ask you directly, is the current state of this building the standard of safety and excellence you would accept for your own children? If the answer is no, then I ask you to be the leaders who stop this decline rather than the ones who let it happen. We need your commitment to the Magruder community today. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Benjamin. I think that's you. Go ahead.
Good evening, council members. My name is Benjamin Josias. I am 9 years old and in 3rd grade at Cashel Elementary School. I care a lot about my future. I go to school now, and when I grow up, I want to have the best chance to learn, grow, and succeed. A safe, strong high school matters to me because it will help me learn new things, make friends, and prepare for college or a job. I'm here today because I want to talk about Magruder High School. Even though I'm not there yet, I will be in just a few years. I'm worried to go to a school that has serious problems, things that are broken like heating and air conditioning, and some things that are unsafe like bad air circulation and ceilings falling down. I'm expected to get good grades on my report card, but Magruder's report card is not good. A few years ago, the school had 4 stars, but now it only has 3. That makes me sad because I want the high school in the future to be the best it can be. I want to be proud to go to Magruder. I think if Magruder had a brand new building that was bright, safe, and exciting, more kids would want to be there every day. It's hard to do your best when your school feels old or falling apart. Please help make Magruder a 5-star school by building a new one. Kids and teachers deserve a place that makes them feel happy and proud. If that can't happen right now, please give real money to fix the dangerous problems and don't make us wait longer for the real repair. Council members, will you promise today to do one of these things and keep your promise? Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, and a special thanks to the 3 young students who did so well. Thank you for your public engagement. Ms. Bridget Howe.
Good evening. My name is Bridget Howe, and I'm speaking tonight as president of MCC PTA. First, I want to send my love and healing thoughts to our community members at Wootton High School. You're going to be hearing a lot more from PTAs about school safety and security when we get to the operating budget, but I do hope that any safety-related capital projects are prioritized for the schools. But tonight our focus is on the CIP in general. The CIP budget process, as it's broken down between the county and the school system, is difficult. It's hard to explain it to fellow advocates. It's challenging to pin down the actual points where decisions are made, and it feels impossible to change it for the better. But we should all agree, MCPS's CIP needs are real. Buildings are in bad shape. As MCC PTA president, I get messages all the time. HVAC failures at schools like New Hampshire Estates, so one floor is 28 degrees and the other one is habitable. Ceiling tiles collapsing during the musical at Magruder, flooding at Sherwood, mold and general bad conditions at Wootton. We all know about the Stairwell 7 at Sims, terrible conditions at Eastern, and I haven't even mentioned Damascus. Those are just the schools at the very top of the list. There's so many more. For too long, the county has neglected maintenance of this essential infrastructure and fallen short on PLR of things like HVAC, roofs, plumbing, and more. It has taken us decades to get to this point, and I suspect it will take us decades to get out of it. So how can we do it? First, decisions need to be made based on data and actual facility conditions, as we heard from our Magruder cluster coordinators and others. Squeaky wheels can't be the deciding factor. I will say MCPS is improving on this, and I thank them for that. Second, we need honest and transparent conversations about what is actually possible and realistic given budget constraints. School communities need to be brought into the conversations earlier, and we need candor and a sense of the realistic options from all of our elected officials and leadership, not only in MCPS, but also in the planning board and department, the county executive's office, and the county council. Because I will tell you the way it looks from the cheap seats. I've been following CIPs since the late 1990s, and the pattern holds true. Not as much when times are good, but absolutely when times are tough and revenues are down, as they are now. What we see is finger pointing. We see ambitious proposals from one set of folks, followed by another set of folks saying, well, we can't really afford that. Then the folks who control the funding go to the folks who are asking for the funding and say, well, we only decide the total amount. You get to decide what to cut. This isn't the kind of leadership that we deserve. Montgomery County schools are supposed to be a beacon. We need a common agreement and actual alignment to do better so their facilities are what our kids and MCPS staff deserve. MCPS, the Board of Education, the Planning Board and Department, the County Executive, and the County Council need to row in the same direction, not blame each other or punt on the tough decisions. We also need to look at new ways of doing business, exploring P3s for school construction, really diving into making our county as economically competitive and desirable for investment as possible. Can I say one more sentence? Okay, annual sidewalk program. Kids should not be walking to school in the streets, especially in walk zones, and I hate that I have to keep saying that. Thank you for indulging me.
Thank you. Next, Sophia Furtherer.
Hello. My name is Sophia Furterer, and my son is a kindergarten at Cashel Elementary School. Councilmember Mink and Councilmember Friedson and maybe Councilmember Glass and a few other of you. You might not remember me, but the last time we were in a room together was at the Lunar New Year celebration at Montgomery Mall. And so I find it very fitting tonight and serendipitous that we're together tonight again. I'm speaking in front of you nearing the new year of the horse. Why do I say that? The year of the horse symbolizes breakthrough, making it a powerful time for bold moves and transformation. So let's do that tonight. I wanted to start my testimonial with a quick question and maybe a little bit of humor and a joke, but what do you guys think Magruder High School and a blinking check engine light have in common? Ignoring them does not make the problem go away. The damage only gets worse, and that's why I'm here tonight. Magruder needs to be added back into the CIP. I'm here not as a parent of a current student, but as a parent of children who will one day walk the halls of Magruder High School. When I picture their future, I don't just see report cards and sports games. I see classrooms where they feel safe, valued, and proud of their school. Let's get to a few facts. According to the representatives from the American Institute of Architects, aka the smart people, they're certified, best practices in the architectural industry indicate that the typical life cycle of a school building is 40 to 50 years before there is a significant need for renovation. Magruder is 56. In Philadelphia, aging school buildings that contain asbestos have led to multiple closures. Several schools were shut down after damaged asbestos was found in ceilings and walls, forcing students to shift to virtual learning while remediation occurred. Officials have noted that decades of disinvestment in aging infrastructure contributed to the problem. A middle school in Wisconsin experienced a burst pipe that revealed mold and asbestos in the floor and ceiling tiles. The board ignored pleas for renovations in meetings just like this, that I'm speaking in tonight, and delayed renovations to aging infrastructure, which resulted in exposing hazardous materials to children for years. Down the street at Sherwood High School, a water leak had bursted a pipe and led to closure after several complaints from staff and parents of mold and water damage, directly affecting about a dozen classrooms and prompting remediation before students could safely return. We don't need to imagine what neglect looks like in our school systems. Other districts have shown us these problems are not hypothetical. This is why timely investment matters. The real question before you tonight is this: do we want to be proactive for Magruder or reactive after something goes wrong? Tonight, I'm asking you to be proactive. To close, I'll bring this full circle to where I started. Magruder is our community's check engine light. It's blinking not because the school does not matter, but because it does. You can keep driving and hope nothing breaks, or you can pull over now, invest in the repair, and protect what we all depend on. My question to you is this now: would you put your children in a car with the blinking check engine light when you know that the issue compromises the safety of the vehicle? I think the answer is no. So why should we put our children in Magruder? Magruder is giving that same warning tonight. Please don't wait for a breakdown to act and fund the renovations at Magruder now. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Parson. Can you hear me?
Hi, I'm Allison Parson. I moved to the Olney area about 2 years ago with my 2 young children, primarily for the school system. But I've fallen in love with so many other things in the Olney area. You know, the breweries and the churches and the parks, and it's home to us. My daughter just started kindergarten with Sophia's son at Cashel this year, and it's been an incredible experience. The one thing that's been really incongruent with all that positivity in the community is Magruder. My first experience with Magruder High School, that's my voting station. And so I went there for the midterm elections, and I was just focused on getting in and voting, and all of a sudden I lifted my head up and looked around and I gasped. I was shocked at the state of affairs in the school. And I voted and I moved on, and then the November elections a year and a half ago came up, and my daughter was really insistent on coming with me. I thought this could be a good experience for her. She'll get to see the place where she'll go to high school and exposure to the experience of voting. And we got there and I was like, this is where you're going to go to high school. And she was like, Mommy, no, this place is scary and old. And I was like, don't worry. By the time you get to high school, this is going to look much nicer. And, I'm sure it's getting upgraded soon. So then fast forward, Luciana starts school and I join the PTA. And the first PTA I sit in on, I find out that that's maybe not going to be the case. And I start to hear more and more about there's not one, but at least 2 other high schools that are have a very strong argument for being put ahead of Magruder, for repairs, significant repairs. And I just found myself feeling angry, honestly, like, how did we get to this point? Like, how did we get in this room where the second wealthiest county in the state of Maryland has all these schools that are really in, like, Sophia explained it much better than I will, in, like, it's a dangerous situation. And for context, I grew up in Michigan, went to a public school system between Flint and Saginaw. So suffice it to say, lots of underprivileged and underfunded situations. But I always felt safe in my schools, and I felt proud of my schools, and the high school in particular was a place where the community really came together. And that's what I love about Olney in particular in Montgomery County. Has a small town feel to it. But like, people put their nose up at Magruder. That is not a place where the community goes to gather. And I really want to be a part of, changing that. I'll close by saying my father was an elementary school principal for another public school system in Michigan. And he always said, never criticize leadership unless you have a better idea. And if you don't, then you better be willing to be part of the solution. So I do not envy your situation. I'm sure you're also inheriting a big budget issue. So I don't have the answer to the problem, but I'm here to be a part of the solution. And we're going to get started early, so it's fixed by the time our kids are in high school. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to start with Ms. Janita Rochetta, who is...
Good evening. Yes, this is me. Good evening, council members. My name is Janina Rochetta, and I have a daughter who will be starting at the worst rated school in MCPS, Magruder High School, next fall, and a son who will be going to Redland Middle next fall as well as part of the cluster. I am here to plead for Magruder, again, the worst rated school in Montgomery County School District, to be put back in the capital improvements program. I am joined by, I'm sure you've heard a few of the parents, the students, and staff members, and I join them today in really plea for this to happen. And I want to do it talking about dignity. Dignity is a state or quality of being worth of honor or respect, a sense of pride in oneself, a sense of self-respect. Dignity is the basis of human rights, social justice, fair treatment, and the inherent worth of every person. It forms the foundation of laws and ethics. Dignity sits at the very foundation of humanity. The first place, in my opinion, where kids should learn dignity and self-respect is at home. And I, as a parent, together with my husband, We make sure to model and foster this for our kids. But as parents, we cannot do it alone. And this is where school comes in. School is the place where my kids and all students spend the majority of their waking hours. School is where they learn social sciences, where they foster friendships, where they learn teamwork, solidarity, they learn social and emotional regulation, social responsibility, and dignity. When kids walk into Magruder High School, the worst rated school in MCPS, they are at the care of MCPS. And as budget holders, they are at your care as well, council members. So what does dignity look like in a social care setting like Magruder High School? Dignity in care means providing care that supports the self-respect of the person, recognizing their capacities and ambitions, and that does nothing to undermine it. I'm here today to make you aware that MCPS is undermining the very thing that they strive to accomplish as educators. And you, council members, as budget holders, are also undermining that and are afraid to say that they're starting to strip away their dignity. In March of 2025, Magruder, the worst rated school in MCPS, was in the news for the ceiling collapsed in the auditorium, right, during the school spring play, as most of you should know, with students, parents, teachers, and humans in attendance. I will submit my remarks in writing, but I plead you to please put Magruder High School back in MCPS and CIP.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Next, the final person to testify tonight, because there are 3 people who did not show up, is Jill Barrett.
Good evening, council members. My name is Jill Barrett, and I have a 10th grader at Magruder High School, as well as an 8th grader and a 6th grader, both future Magruder students. I'm going to start with a story. Last spring, my family attended opening night of Once Upon a Mattress at Magruder. The show was fantastic. The kids had clearly worked incredibly hard for months. We sat in the front row, and when my daughter pointed out a piece of the ceiling that was sagging, I brushed it off. After all, water damage is common in older buildings. The next night, during the second performance of the show, that piece of the ceiling collapsed during the first act. Thankfully, no one was injured. But what happened next was truly remarkable. The actors on stage did not miss a beat. They kept going and finished that night's performance. After that, the auditorium was closed for repairs, but the show must go on. Community members sprang into action to move the play to one of our cluster middle schools. We moved the enormous castle set, the giant bed, props, costumes, the entire orchestra pit. We took the show on the road, and the following weekend, the kids performed to a packed audience. The atmosphere was electric. The pride in that room, palpable. This is the Magruder community in action. We are a diverse community of hardworking, compassionate problem solvers. We do not complain, we buckle down and do what needs to be done. But is the Magruder community being punished for not complaining? Does the squeaky wheel indeed get the oil? At a Magruder Town Hall meeting in December, Dr. Taylor assured us that prioritization of school renovations would be driven by FCI scores, not politics. The FCI indicates Magruder is the high school most in need of renovation, ahead of Wooten and ahead of Damascus. Yet renovations for Magruder have been excluded from the latest MCPS recommendations. Wooten is continually prioritized over Magruder, perhaps because their families have been more vocal, their wheel a little squeakier. Meanwhile, the Magruder community has been keeping our heads down, addressing problems as they arise, relying on the FCI data to work in our favor, and waiting for the renovations that have been promised to us. Yes, for nearly a decade, this community has been promised a comprehensive renovation of the outdated Magruder building. That promise has been broken again and again. Renovations have been pushed back, delayed, and now removed from the budget entirely. We ask that Magruder be added back to the CIP. The students of Magruder High School deserve a state-of-the-art facility designed for 21st century learning, like the new Crown High School. But at the very least, they deserve to go to a school that is safe, where the ceiling does not collapse during the spring musical. Safe schools are not a luxury, they are a basic need. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Katie Samczak, and I would like to speak about the Magruder High School renovations that are desperately needed. MCPS is in my DNA. My parents graduated from Richard Montgomery High School and Magruder High School, both class of 77. My siblings and I all graduated from Paint Branch High School. Go Panthers! I love my forever Panther community. I just wish our community had been prioritized back when I was a student, so we weren't the constant butt of everyone's jokes due to the poor state of the building that we had. The building had stained ceiling tiles, and the bathroom stall doors required lifting the actual door up and to the left in order for them to shut. The state of the classrooms, the chipped floors, the missing ceiling tiles, and the tired walls reflected its 1969 birth date, and that was not something to brag about. I remember visiting my friends at Blake and seeing their shiny hallways and being struck by how clean and fresh they were. And honestly, I was kind of jealous. They had ceiling tiles that weren't sagging from water damage, and the bathroom stall doors would just close. The 2012 rebuild of Paint Branch was beyond overdue, and it made many in my community feel that Paint Branch was not valued as much as other parts of this county are valued. Magruder is now facing the same situation. It was built around the same time Paint Branch was, though somehow it's gone even longer without a rebuild. It's almost the same building that my mother went to back in the 70s, or as my third grader says, the late 1900s. As a student, I watched PBHS get passed over for renovations and judged on its deteriorating state, not just by other students in the county, but also by adults in this county who felt Paint Branch was beneath them. I will not let my own children go through the same thing. Magruder has the overall poorest rating of any high school in the MCPS Facility Condition Index. It's almost a bad joke in a way if Magruder does get passed over, because you would be choosing to pass over a school that, according to your own indexes, is rated number 1 for overall worst conditions. Overlooking the worst building tells those children you're not important enough to be in a clean and modern facility. Do not let this community down. Do not let these kids down. Give Magruder what it desperately needs: a clean, safe, and modern building where kids can focus on learning and not whether or not another ceiling tile will collapse during one of their theater performances. Thank you.
Next, I have Arena Norell.
Good afternoon. My name is Irina Norell. My day job is real estate, which gives me context across my community. One of them is the Greater Olney Civic Association, and in my capacity as president, I have worked with many of you on different issues. But today, I am here as a parent of a third grader. This third grader. Until last month, to my regret, everything I knew about Magruder High School was what I learned or heard on the news. And as we all know, if something made it on the news, it is rarely good. What I have learned since is actually worse. For over a decade, this school has been promised help and then told to wait. Magruder was deemed unsafe enough to be fully funded in 2020 CIP. Then it didn't happen. The money was delayed, then reduced, then zeroed out entirely. And now it's about to happen again. I read Dr. Taylor's latest argument for option H, and he convinced me. The data, if accurate, is a powerful argument that we don't need another high school right now. I agree with most of the plan, with one tweak. Use Crown as a holding school for Magruder first, then move Wooten into the new building they deserve. Since MCPS favors this naming formula, I'm going to call it option M. Option M, everybody wins. The Magruder community can start believing in equity again, knowing they don't only pay taxes to fund this county, but are represented equally. Knowing that even if they don't have a powerful ally on their behalf, they're still represented equally. MCPS still saves millions without once again passing over the same community that has waited for so long. And the county can tender the Wooten's land to a developer, adding revenue to the budget and the housing we desperately need. I totally ad-libbed the last part, but you can see where I'm going with it, right? I know the council cannot simply add or remove the project, but what you can do is use the leverage you have to insist MCPS reconsiders and be fair. In the last month, I heard over and over that Magruder has been passed multiple times because historically this community was not vocal enough, not organized enough, did not show up at hearings, or made our displeasure heard at the ballot box. I hope you've noticed the last few days that we're changing that. We are getting organized, we're becoming respectfully vocal. You did not create the situation, but you can be the ones to start fixing it. You can be the leaders that we elected you to lead us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Miss Charlotte Norrell. Turn on the mic. There you go.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Charlotte Norrell. I'm 8 years old and in 3rd grade at Cashel Elementary School. High school feels really far away to me. It is almost as long as I've been alive. But it turns out the decisions you will be making in the next few months will directly impact me and my classmates and whether my high school is safe or not. The high school I would go to is 55 years old now and has never been renovated. My mom tells me that even people that at that age need occasional fixing. Buildings need it even more. My current school is nice, and I'm happy about that since I spent a lot of time there. But I'm sad that the Magruder building is unsafe and harmful to the students who are there right now. Some of those students are my after-school activity counselors. I like them, and I look up to them, and they deserve much better than what they have. Sadly, most of them are going to finish out high school in a building that is falling apart. Providing a safe building for their kids is the most basic thing any local government is supposed to do. What we are asking is, fix Magruder as planned after Damascus, or set aside money to patch up the building and make it safer today. And don't use those fixes as an excuse to put Magruder back at the end of the line. The high school kids at Magruder right now were in elementary school too, when other grown-ups told their parents it would be taken care of, but it wasn't. Today you have the power to change that for me and 1,600 other kids in my community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You did so well. So, thank you. Matthew Beeler.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Matthew Beeler, and I am the president of the Cashel Elementary School PTA and the father of 2 girls that go there in 1st and 4th grade, the same school as you just heard from Charlotte. In my spare time, I also have a full-time job, and I've taken a few hours of leave to be here today to talk to you about Magruder High School. In the spring of 2025, my family and I went to see a theater production at Magruder High School. We were excited to see the high school that my children planned to attend, and a good friend of ours was in the stage crew there in the production. Except the show wasn't at Magruder. It turned out that the auditorium ceiling had partially collapsed the weekend prior, forcing the students to rebuild their entire set at a local middle school in 1 week. The show was amazing, and while the students' resilience was inspiring, the incident was troubling. I subsequently learned that the ceiling collapse was unfortunately not a fluke. It was a symptom of decades of deferred maintenance. Magruder has been promised a renovation for nearly 10 years. Every few years, the timeline slips. What was scheduled for 2027 became 2029, then to be determined. And now it has been removed from the CIP entirely. In my professional life, I do some capital planning and procurement. I know that effective planning must be data-driven. I applaud MCPS for utilizing and publicizing the Facility Condition Index. I think that's a great thing. It ranks Magruder the most depleted secondary school in Montgomery County. So it's really baffling that I didn't see Magruder show up in the CIP. So that's why I'm here today. I believe in our elected officials, and I believe you want to do the right thing for the most people. So that's why I'm here. I'm deeply concerned that my 1st grader will eventually be learning in a 65-year-old building that is literally falling down around her. I know you've heard from other Cashel's parents and students during this session, last night's session, and I can tell you I didn't have to twist any arms to get people to come out here and talk about this. Everybody is fired up. Teachers and students deserve an environment free from structural disruptions, and our maintenance workers should not feel like their theme song is Mission Impossible. I'm asking you for a direct commitment today. Restore Magruder to the CIP. Place it in the queue immediately following Damascus and allocate funds for the necessary studies. Alternatively, commit immediately to funding critical repairs. But don't use those as justification to push the renovation to the back of the line. No more delays, no more limbo. Commit today to investing in the Magruder community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Melissa Phillips.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mel Phillips. I know this guy very well. I was the immediate past president of the Cashel PTA. I have a daughter in 8th grade at Redland Middle School and a daughter in 4th grade at Cashel. Right now, my 8th grader attends a school where she can focus on learning, playing sports, and playing her flute in the band. We are blessed there with amazing teachers and a safe environment. Next year, she will move on to Magruder. While I'm excited for all of the new opportunities that high school will bring for her, I also feel an overwhelming sadness and anxiety about the conditions at that school. For my 4th grader, high school still feels so very far away. She loves learning about decimals and writing stories and playing on the playground with her friends. And when I think about where she will be in 4 years, I feel that same sadness, anxiety, and even dread about what the conditions will be at Magruder then. Magruder has been promised renovations for nearly a decade. As you've heard, every few years that timeline keeps getting pushed. What was once 2027 became 2029, and here we are with Magruder not in the CIP. If this pattern continues, my children, who are currently 9 and 13, may graduate from high school before that renovation happens. If we're lucky, my 9-year-old might enjoy a renovated Magruder for a couple of years at the end of her experience. Meanwhile, my 8th grader is actively preparing to join the current students at Magruder, which, as you know, is the most depleted high school in this county, according to the FCI. Last March, part of the auditorium ceiling collapsed during a performance. There's documented mold, parking lots that are unsafe and non-compliant, an HVAC system that regularly fails. Maintenance keeps getting deferred, except nothing is happening. As a parent, I work very hard to give my children every opportunity to succeed. I help them with their homework, I volunteer with their PTAs, and I try to prepare them for the challenges ahead. Having experienced 2 other MCPS clusters before this one, I can attest that I've never felt the sense of community that I do with the Magruder cluster. We love these schools, these teachers, these people, but no amount of community can protect my children from a building that's falling apart. That's the county's responsibility. Safe buildings are not a luxury. It's an expectation. So I will echo what my friend Matt here said. We're asking for one of 2 things. Put Magruder back in the CIP, behind Damascus, that's fine. Allocate funds to begin the necessary studies before the construction begins. Or if that's not possible, commit funding today for critical repairs. No more delays, no more excuses. So I'm asking you to commit to Magruder and vote for one of these options. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. And we're going to start with Tina. Okay, please go ahead. Please state your name on top. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Dina Blaustein, and I have a son in 2nd grade at Cashel Elementary School and another son at the Sherman ECC at Har Shalom Preschool. I know what you might be thinking. Why is an elementary school parent testifying about high school funding? My child still brings home spelling tests and permission slips for field trips. High school seems a lifetime away. But here's what I've come to understand. This Magruder renovation is not a high school problem. It is an elementary school problem because the students who will suffer most from continued delays are the ones in our elementary schools and even preschools right now. Colonel Zadig Magruder High School was supposed to be renovated years ago. The promise has been made repeatedly, 2027, 2029, future planning, and now removed completely from the budget. Each delay adds another cohort of children to the list of those who inherit this crumbling building. My 7-year-old has 11 years until he graduates high school, but at the rate we're going, he could walk across a stage without ever experiencing a renovated Magruder. Maybe, if we're lucky, you can change that and give us the updated state-of-the-art building that he deserves. What will other students walk into in the meantime? A building that hasn't seen major renovations in 55 years. One where the auditorium ceiling collapses during a performance, where mold grows and rodents appear, heating systems fail so regularly students dress in layers, or have early dismissal during AP testing because there's no air conditioning. This building's essential maintenance gets pushed off year after year because everyone keeps telling us the renovation is coming. But the renovation is not coming. Not for these current students, not for students in middle school, and at this rate, not for my second grader either. Speaking with other parents, we share a common worry. Our children cannot reach their full potential in a facility that continues to fall apart around them. Our students deserve better. That's why I'm here today, even though my child is years away, because the time to fix this is now, not next budget cycle, not the next election, now. So we're asking for 2 things. First, put Magruder back in the CIP based on their FIC score. Allocate the funds to begin necessary studies before construction. Or, if that's impossible, commit real funding for these critical repairs. No more delays, no more excuses. We cannot be penalized for wanting and deserving a safer building that has been promised for a decade. Council members, I'm asking you directly, commit today. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Carol Kosary.
Good afternoon, council members. I'm Carol Kosary, a longtime resident of Durwood and a member of both the Shady Grove Sector Plan Implementation Advisory Committee, that's a wordful, and the Mid-County Citizens Advisory Board. I'm here to speak on 2 subjects. The first is the Shady Grove West Library. This is a new library centered in the Shady Grove West community, across from the Shady Grove Metro. It's one of the vital linchpins in the 2006 Shady Grove Sector Plan and 2021 Minor Master Plan Amendment. Libraries are a vital community asset, providing a gathering place that fosters social interaction and a sense of belonging. This area of Montgomery County is very rich in amenities which serve the county as a whole, such as the Shady Grove Processing Facility and Transfer Station. It is, however, very poor in amenities which serve the immediate community and help foster a sense that this is more than just someplace you go at night to eat dinner and sleep, and perhaps drop off your trash. This library is an important step in creating a sense of community, and I call on the county council to approve this request. I also want to speak briefly about Magruder, which serves most of the Durwood community. It should be clear to everyone that MPCS has absolutely no plan for Magruder, despite the fact that it ranks as the most depleted high school according to the Facility Condition Index. The results of decades of deferred maintenance are dire. A ceiling collapse during a student performance, a leaky roof, mold, broken HVAC, broken elevators and lifts, a lack of ADA compliance in the parking lot, and what I found most shocking, a girls' locker room with sewage backups and a shower room which lacks running water. Despite this, capital improvements at Magruder have been delayed twice and then totally removed from the CIP. I'm asking the County Council to provide funds for Magruder in the CIP to ensure that both its immediate maintenance needs are addressed and that its capital improvements move forward. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Kristen Quinn.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Kristen Quinn. I'm here today to urge the council to support inclusion of Magruder High School in the Capital Improvements Program. Magruder serves more than 1,600 students and has a diverse student body. roughly 41% Hispanic, 18% Black, 24% white, and 13% Asian, representing families across a broad range of incomes. It reflects the type of diversity Montgomery County prides itself on valuing. Yet the building tells a different story. Constructed over 50 years ago and with repairs repeatedly deferred, Magruder recently received an FCI of 64%, ranking it the most depleted high school in the county. This aligns with ongoing reports of inoperable locker rooms, inadequate HVAC systems, unreliable elevators, hazardous walkways and sport field conditions, and readily visible mold and moisture issues. These conditions have a clear impact on health and safety while also straining the educational impact achieved. MCPS high schools, which have fully modernized labs, collaboration spaces, and proficient building systems, are far better positioned to prepare students for post-secondary success. Magruder students are asked to learn in a building that is literally crumbling around them. In a diverse, mixed-income school like Magruder, prolonged facility neglect has a predictable and well-documented effect. Families with the most flexibility, generally those who are the most resourced, quietly opt out. When families with the most flexibility and resources leave a school like Magruder, it doesn't just affect enrollment, it changes the political reality. These families often provide advocacy, volunteer leadership, and community engagement that amplify a school's needs. Without them, schools can appear less viable, and it becomes harder for elected officials to justify timely investments, even when the need is urgent. Inaction in this context is not neutral. It compounds both inequities and the political risk. The council has a responsibility to protect the Magruder community. From a fiscal perspective, deferred maintenance accelerates deterioration and increases long-term costs. It also weakens community engagement, making future investment more difficult. We have a timely opportunity to use Crown High School as a holding school, allowing for efficient and comprehensive modernization or rebuild. This is the most cost-controlled and least disruptive approach. I personally attended 2 holding schools in Howard County, once during the construction of Ilchester Elementary and again during the rebuild of Ellicott Mills Middle School. This approach allows the county to fix systems once and correctly, avoid duplicative repair costs, reduce long-term operating expenses, and deliver a building that supports a healthy learning environment for years to come. I urge the council to prioritize Magruder High School for full modernization or rebuilding using a holding school strategy. Thank you for your time and your stewardship of county resources.
Thank you.